put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back. And we're on to that segment of the morning where we focus on our women. It is International Women's Day week, and we are celebrating our women all week long. This morning we have Crystal Phillips. She's an entrepreneur and author, and she's going to be joining us this morning. As International Women's Day approaches, conversations often celebrate resilience and empowerment. But what happens when strength becomes a permanent role? When being dependable becomes being responsible for everything? We have with us Trinidad founder and author Crystal Phillips, whose work explores both personal and professional systems. In her memoir, Breaking Barrels, she reflects on caregiving, identity, and boundaries. In Misdiagnosed, she examines how structural gaps quietly produce burnout in small businesses. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know International Women's Day, we tend to celebrate our women in such a big way, but we're going to be diving into your journey as an entrepreneur. Now, Crystal, what does being the strong one look like for Caribbean women today?
The strong one typically is encompassed by one word: burnout.
And how does caregiving, especially as daughters, shape how women show up in leadership and business?
Well, caregiving trains anticipation over responsibility. It builds leadership skills, but it also makes delegation hard. So many women learn leadership before they even enter business.
Okay, and Crystal, why do you believe resilience is sometimes over-celebrated?
Resilience, because you see, resilience is for crisis. It's not something that you should be prepared for. It's not a lifestyle. So when survival becomes normal, something is definitely misaligned. You know, endurance is impressive, but it isn't sustainable.
Now, do you think some of these notions that we have as Caribbean women, especially knowing our history, do you think that those traits are what is passed on to us, and we believe that those norms are what make us women, and that we should be shifting from that to something a bit more softer? We know we're on that soft trend now in the social media space and with us as women. What do you think about that?
I don't really think it's about strength per se. Being soft or being strong is about becoming sustainable, not just strong or not just soft. Because, to be honest, neither is sustainable. So it's more about becoming more sustainable than strong or soft.
All right. And Crystal, what are some of the things that you would like Tobagonian women and women on a whole to realize about themselves, based on your book and some of your realizations?
I believe I would want them to stop and think, give themselves a little bit of grace, and realize that strength really isn't about how much you can carry, and more about how you can distribute it. And to just analyze your life and figure out what you've been carrying that you didn't need to carry.
Now, for those women who feel accomplished but quietly overwhelmed, what advice would you give to them to give them a mindset shift to move from that reality into a space that is more manageable for them?
You're coming with the questions rapidly. Into a space that's more manageable, I would say that, I guess I'll go back to what I just said in terms of understanding where your skills are versus what your availability is. Do like an alignment audit, because what happens is this: competency attracts dependency. We all know this. When you're the competent one, you become the dependable one by default. And people lean where things don't shake, don't wobble. And you do not want to become that thing for everybody and everything. So build a system, build a structure, build something that will allow you not to be the only bedrock of everybody and everything.
Okay, Crystal. And why do you think high capacity women tend to overfunction?
Why we overfunction? I think we overfunction just because we've been the capable ones for a very long time, and because we're capable, we start to believe that everyone else might be incapable, and that just pushes us into a space of overfunctioning.
Just on the topic of overfunctioning, do you think it's tied to self-worth, that the only way I am worthy of anything is because I am capable?
No. Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. I believe it's more about just wanting things done correctly. It's not about your self-worth or your self-esteem. It's just about wanting things done properly and not having to go back and repeat something. You ask somebody to do something one way, write this in this tone, or create this thing in this particular way, and they do it another way. You have to go back, do it over. If any of you guys are trying, I think you'll understand. You tell your child to wash the wares. They wash the wares, but everything wet. You have to go back, you have to dry. It's just about doing it. You just want it done correctly the first time. So you find yourself over functioning. This is just delegation and let it in chips all with me.
All right. And Crystal, what advice would you have for the quote-unquote modern day woman?
Advice in which regard?
In terms of, I think the modern day woman tends to be they do a lot of things on the go, on the fly, as opposed to, that older woman who, you were taught to cook, clean, do certain things in a particular way. I think the younger generation operates on a totally different stream. Mm-hmm. So what advice would you have for them in terms of, being self-sufficient and success as it relates to just being a woman in general?
What advice I have for them as it relates to success and being a woman in general? It have so much. It has so much. I could say, like, whether in families or business, like when one woman becomes the system, exhaustion is inevitable. So plan, structure, create blocks of time. For me, I only do meetings on Tuesdays and Fridays, with the odd change ever so often. Right? So it's about creating a such structure, not too rigid, but a structure that you can manage through. And delegate. Stop thinking it's only you can do things. Delegate. Everybody else around you, I am sure, is quite capable of their own thing. Everything doesn't need to. And give yourself grace. We don't give ourselves grace. We talk to ourselves. And man, I really understand the things that you would tell yourself. I'm sure you wouldn't tell the lady next to you. You'll never tell her that. You'll never talk to her that way. You wouldn't talk to the person on the street. But when you're in your head and you're talking to yourself, goodness, things fall apart.
Yes, as women, sometimes we tend to heavily critique ourselves, Giselle and Crystal, and we would give that grace to the persons around us, but we wouldn't even give that to ourselves. And I think that's where we need to start on this International Women's Day for the theme this year, ensuring that we give to ourselves as much as we want to give to those around us. Because I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, for sharing your insight, for sharing and reminding the women viewing that it is okay to take a break. It's okay to sometimes allow things to happen how they happen. Try not to control the outcome of all situations and circumstances, because then you're over-functioning. Then you are putting yourself out of a capacity. I want to thank you so much this morning for reminding us of that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.